There's a lot of characters in JJK that you could feel bad for. Yuji's possessed by a demon awaiting his inevitable death. Maki was outcast by her family. Geto lost faith in humanity, and Gojo has recently been locked in what's pretty much solitary confinement, without a bathroom. But Nanami is the one I'm thinking about right now, because he's the only relatable sorcerer in the show. Between Geto killing his own parents, Mei being a hop, skip, and a jump away from villainy, and Gojo being, well, Gojo, Nanami is surprisingly normal. Like, he's just a normal 9-to-5 guy, and he's stuck in a city full of monsters and psychopaths. And if that's not bad enough, he randomly finds his homie poked the fuck up, and now he's more ready to crash out than O-Dog. So he follows a literal trail of even more dead homies looking for the person responsible. And you know he's mad, but we don't get to see how mad until later in the video. When Nanami was first introduced, it was established that he was quite different from the average sorcerer. And ironically, what made him different was the fact that he was actually pretty normal. He could just as well work and live like the average person, and for a short while he did. And because of that, his perspective has some key differences from the sorcerers we've seen so far. Most sorcerers are either born into the Jujutsu world like those from a major clan, or accept a job for specific and personal reasons like Nobara or Megumi. What makes Nanami so different is his reason for being a sorcerer in the first place. To him, it's just another job. And as we see in the flashbacks in season 1, he realized that being able to manipulate cursed energy was a special power that can help people and even save lives. He realized that his abilities were rare, and because of that, he became a sorcerer. I'm sure other sorcerers know this too, but unlike them, this is Nanami's whole reason for doing what he does. And despite this, he's still not arrogant, selfish, or delusional like many others, and he's never expressed that he feels special or above anyone else. I'm looking at you, Mr. Honored One. And being that Nanami and Gojo are the only two mentor figures towards Yuji that we've seen so far, I think that he's a perfect contrast. On the surface, Gojo was the nice and fun sensei, but as we know, he's more prone to dark thoughts. Whereas Nanami is very cold and calculated on the surface, but he knows what he believes and everything he does is for the sake of others. Regardless of how he carries himself, he's soft-hearted and his morals and principles are set in stone and unshakable. Like when he met Yuji, he agreed with the higher-ups that Yuji was dangerous because of the fact that he's now Sukuna's vessel, and he didn't acknowledge him as a sorcerer. But he didn't wish him harm, and he was still willing to teach him and treated him with care. And remember his first fight against Mahito? No matter how hard he tried to suppress his emotions, Mahito said that he could still sense Nanami's soul shaking from his reaction to the horror of the transfigured human. From his introduction in episode 9, you can see off the jump that Nanami is pretty much the only balanced character. Everyone else is so caught up in their beliefs and emotions that they act as if their perspective is the truth and they only view justice subjectively. From Gojo to the old retired rock star of a principal, and even in the younger generation with people like Maki and Megumi. Aside from Yuji, Nanami is the only one that strays from this. I don't include Yuji because he's constantly growing and changing, I mean he is the MC, while the other characters haven't changed much, if at all, in terms of their beliefs and perspectives. Nanami is the normal guy caught in this world of craziness. Actually, it reminds me of Good Kid Mad City, Shibuya style. But for real, I had to actually think about it to connect with this, but Nanami is the only relatable side character. I mean, yeah, there's aspects of other characters that are relatable, like Yuta's reserved and fearful personality, or Maki and Mai's respective motivations, but if we're talking about characters as a whole, I think Nanami is the only one that hits the mark for relatability. He consistently accepts responsibility as an adult and never stops caring for others. He's not overly special or strong, he's won some fights and lost some fights, he's a good friend. I mean, his memories of Haibara and how he reminds him of Yuji, the way it haunts him, he's vulnerable, he's human. He could be you, or me. He's not the guy your girlfriend left you for, nah, that's Gojo. Nanami, he feels your pain. He wouldn't fuck your girl, or your guy, unless you're Adam 22 and you wanted him to, but this is off topic, what the fuck are we talking about anyway? Oh yeah, he's a good friend. That's why Nanami tracked down that blonde ponytail having bitch like the Terminator, Cause Nanami bust through that glass like Yujiro when he met Pickle. Then he just undid his tie and walked up on Buddy like a severely disappointed father after work. And unfortunately for the gender fluid curse user, it was after work. And that means Nanami's on overtime. So he hit him with that, "What set you bang, bitch? Where your granny stay?" And dude tried to get active with Nanami immediately, but he must have not noticed the little skull by his name letting him know that the level difference was too big, so he tried to cop a plea, but as soon as he spoke, boom, punched that nigga in the face. And Nanami uses curse technique too for the critical hit, so now little dude is scared. And I hate when niggas be like that. Like, yeah, when you around people that's weaker than you and you know you can whoop them, you want to act all hard body. But when the real OG pop your ass in the mouth, you ready to tuck tail and get real polite. That's why he boomed your bitch ass into the wall how Brawly did Vegeta. Then he picked him up and dropped him from the air and hit him with that same punch that Gon hit Pito with. He saved my girl Nobara, and for that, I will forever be grateful. Yeah, I know what happened to her later, but that don't matter. The point is she lived to see another episode. Even when he was half dead, hallucinating, and exhausted, all he could think about was saving the others. He stood on all 10 and let that inner demon out. From the voice acting to the piano melody in the background and how the visuals kept cutting back and forth between his final stand and his daydream at the beach, it was beautiful. And as someone who's experienced some of the darker things that life has to offer, I resonate with his desperation. His violent ferocity juxtaposed with his inner dream of peace and freedom. And to be taken out by someone like Mahito, who's his moral opposite, well, it's darkly poetic. Mahito cares for nothing and no one, so he never risks overextending himself. And he took the opportunity to kill Nanami when he was at his weakest. Nanami fell victim to circumstance and the naturally gifted. Because he wanted to protect others, it allowed him to push past his limits, but it was also his downfall. And in my opinion, this is why he's a true hero. It's not about being all powerful. Being a hero is drawing strength and courage from your desire to help others and facing that challenge even when you're not ready. Because if you don't, who will? And that's exactly what he came to terms with in the moment just before death. He knew that he wasn't strong enough to make a big difference, but he tried anyway. I understand Nanami's aversion towards death, yet his quick acceptance of it, knowing that the hardship would finally be over, and the peace that comes from knowing you found someone that you believe can carry your torch, which inspired his last words. "Itadori, you take it from here." He didn't enjoy fighting. He wasn't competitive. He cared for his friends. He truly was a peaceful man, but he was surrounded by evil, and this is what drove him to fight, to protect, to preserve his vision of peace, and to strive for justice. Nanami wasn't the strongest or the most capable, but nonetheless, he didn't hesitate to put his life on the line and fight tooth and nail until the very end. To me, Nanami is representative of my mother, the person in your life that's a role model, who never gives up and who fights for the ones they love with everything they have to give, and then some. A person that's normal and unassuming, but because of circumstance grew into a warrior and a hero. The kind of person that I can empathize with and relate to, and the kind of person that I strive to be every day. Kento Nanami, one of many unsung heroes.